Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching WY TV. My name is Ahmed Abbas Olatunji, but you can call me Sidon J. You're welcome to another edition of News Review today, a Wednesday in the month of October. I'm not in the studio alone, I'm in the studio with...
I'm Ambassador Rochimi Orilua. Thanks for having me in the studio.
You're welcome, sir. So, you know, I will do it on News Review every day. We read out the headlines that made up the newspapers of today. We go on a short commercial break and come back to do justice to some of the headlines. And don't forget that the sponsor for this show is King Victor Nigeria Enterprises and Nokpa Abba that produces Nokpa Abba Bitter, Abba Flusher, Abba Cool, Abba Powder. And big shout out to every one of you that do, you know, join the live show to know what is going on in our dear country, Nigeria. I'm starting with the Daily Post newspaper today. Wage award. Uncertainty over fate of state. Local government workers as Labour suspends strike. Tinubu applied to Chicago University as male. Registrar tells court. Police arrest Naira Marley over death of Mohbad. Kogi Guba poll. SDP accuses APC of importing thugs from Jigawa, Nasarawa to unleash violence. Then on Vanguard newspaper, Pope suggests Catholic Church could bless same-sex marriages. Vehicle chased by LASMA kills pregnant women, 2 children, cyclist. Kano government declares Wednesday public holiday. Edo clerics bless new office as Shuaibu says to move in. Then on the Guardian newspaper, lawmakers bar first 10 members from Senate presidency. Government to begin disbursement of 50,000 naira each to 1.5 million market women. Ondo Assembly insists on impeachment proceeding against Deputy Governor. Police arraign driver for stealing employer's car. Then on the Punch newspaper, FCTA to partner Israel on agricultural security. Rivers explosion. Police begin probe. Cop dismissed for raping 16-year-old in police station. Pastor dies. 4 worshippers injured as Benue Church collapses. These are the headlines that made up the newspapers of today. Let's go on a short commercial break, and when we're back, we talk more about some headlines. Stay tuned, don't go nowhere. You're welcome back from that short commercial break, and this is News Review if you just joined in the live. And you know, the first one we are going to be talking about is about this TUC and NLC suspending strike, and we are hoping what the federal government has said, maybe they are going to put it in place, because we are not sure about the money they are to pay for 6 months to the government workers working in the federal level. And what is what is the take of the state workers, because they are just talking about the federal workers. What about the people that was working with the state government? Because I don't get it.
You know, according to the press release, was that it should also be implemented in the state. Mm-hmm. According to what the spokesman for the presidency said, when NLC cancelled the nationwide strike that's supposed to hold on the 3rd of October that we are in, but I believe NLC will not go so low, or they will not go so stupid to the extent in which it's going to be applied to the federal government workers alone, okay, not to talk of the state level or the local government level. I believe it's for general, because if it is not for general, I don't believe they will have suspended the strike.
All right, on Monday night, the organized labor announced the suspension of its planned nationwide indefinite strike. The decision came after a tripartite meeting involving the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) and the federal government. Daily Post report that the action was suspended for 30 days to allow the government to implement some of its promises contained in a memorandum of understanding signed after the meeting. However, there appears to be no definite strike plan for state and local government workers who constitute the bulk of the civil service population. Let's recall that the labor unions and the federal government have been engaged in a running dispute over the removal of full subsidy by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. Tinubu, during his inaugural speech on May 29, announced the removal of full subsidy. The aftermath of the policy has brought untold hardships and high cost of living driven by increased inflation. However, in the wake of the after effect, the federal government announced the 5 billion naira palliative to each state of the federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja. But the organized labor saw the palliatives as far below their expectation from the government towards ameliorating the suffering of the masses. Now, I love the fact that NLC could, come up with this strike of 18 on time, because they get to know that the palliative that was said to be shared to the citizens of Nigeria was being planned on selling for the citizens by some monarchs, some police officers, and some other people that has been apprehended in the cost of this palliative of a thing.
You see, it's quite unfortunate that those people that you feel they should be respected in the community could go so low to the extent in which a whole monarch that is supposed to be in charge of the welfare of his people will go out there to be selling palliative that is meant for the masses. You understand what I'm saying? In fact, it's quite unfortunate. If you could recall about what happened at Oyo State when the ex-president was telling the monarch, commanding them to stand up as a primary school pupil. There was a misreaction on the video, and what happened there, that it was a slap on the obas. If not for the obas that have sold out their rights, can you imagine a whole monarch going out to sell palliative? But with the idea of this NLC, I believe what I said yesterday, I'm still going to repeat. If the federal government, when they were campaigning, seeking our hand in vote to elect them to become the president of this nation, if they could go to the network provider, all our network provider were the ones sending messages to us that vote so person. If they have the idea, if they have the brain of going toward that direction to campaign, how much more when we have BVN? Can you remember the time where this issue of BVN came in? If you don't have BVN, you can't bank with you can't do transaction on your phone, not until when you have the BVN. After the BVN, they still introduce NIN. That's the NIN number.
Yes.
That everybody had to go through that process. You know what it takes to Nigeria, the stress and the time waste that took us before getting those numbers.
God bless you, sir. You see, I want to back the NIN. You see, I feel the reason for this NIN and BVN is just an easy access to all Nigerians. And if you want to send any money, it is very simple. Backing it up with what happened during the COVID-19, the NCDC sent almost all the citizens of Nigeria messages every good day,
telling us to keep ourselves safe, safety measures that we are going to take to avoid this corona issue.
So I think even NLC, I'm seeing it like they are playing us, because NLC are not doing what they are supposed to do as the body that is fighting for the
masses
of the masses in Nigeria. And I feel people should protest on their own and leaving NLC out of this, because NLC has been jeopardized. Like, they've entered NLC and there's nothing we can do about it.
You see, their action is too barbaric. When you look at Ajero himself, the way Ajero is presenting this matter before the whole Nigerians, in fact, it is unacceptable. If you want to go on strike, let the whole world know that you are going on strike. Now, you said you suspended the strike for 6 months, or for a month now. What if after that 1 month, the federal government refused to apply? Federal government, they can lie. I'm still repeating it, that they can lie while sleeping. Not to talk of why their eyes are open. While they are sleeping, they will keep on telling you lies as if heaven is going to fall. Those people that made a campaign, can you imagine when they, you know, I don't say I'm too lay emphasis, I'm too much lay emphasis on this issue. When the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, removed fuel subsidy during his own tenure, you know those set of people that campaigned against him that fuel subsidy is a scam, that staged a protest, that mobilized people to stage a protest against the present administration then, were the set of people that said they knew that the fuel subsidy is a good thing to remove, that they only staged the protest. They manipulated Nigerians so they can gain access to the Aso Rock.
Well, manipulation of things is a rampant something that has been going on in Nigeria. We pray that maybe God should just provide us a good government because it's really, disheartening to know that the people we call government, they are not even seeing us as citizens. They are seeing us as slaves because they believe what they say is what will follow. So earlier, there was a 2-day warning strike by the NLC, although the TUC opted out. Both groups later reconciled and were set for an indefinite strike, but the outcome of the Monday meeting eventually led to the suspension of the planned strike for a period of 1 month in order to allow the government time to implement the agreement reached. The memorandum of understanding was signed by Comrade Joe Ajaero, President NLC, Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo, TUC President, Comrade Emmanuel Ugbuaja, General Secretary NLC, and Comrade Nu A. Toro, Secretary General TUC. On the side of the government were H.E. Simon Bako Lalong, Honorable Minister of Labour and Unemployment, Honorable Dr. Nkiruka Onyejosha, Honorable Minister of State for Labour and Employment, and Mala Mohammed Idris, Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation. According to the memorandum, the federal government will grant a wage of 35,000 naira only to all federal government workers beginning in September. Pending when the government signs a new national minimum wage. It is also stated that a minimum wage committee will be inaugurated within 1 month from the date of the agreement. The federal government would suspend collection of value-added tax (VAT) on diesel for 6 months beginning from October 2023. I think that's a good idea.
If it's a good idea, what about the other factors that are into it? Do you know, federal government are not doing well in the sense that, but permit me to chip this in. Even the former salary that they were paying, how many states can afford the salary? How many states are paying? Do you know how many months that they were holding all these civil servants in the state? I believe federal government, this is the right time to set up a committee or a body that will look into state affairs. There are some state governors that are so greedy to the extent in which, do you know some state governors, some years back, when the allocation is being given to them, they will take the allocation into the fixed deposit. That one will be in the fixed deposit in a bank for good 6 months. So the interest is what they are going to be using to run the affairs of their family. So after 6 months now, they will be owing the workers almost 6 months salary before paying. Those workers that are working tirelessly, both day and night, will be deprived of their rights. So there is need for federal government to set up a committee or a body that will look into the state affairs. For instance, now, a palliative was given to the state. Now, can you tell me, is there any of your family member or somebody that is closer to you that will say is a beneficiary of the palliative that was sent from the federal government to the state government?
I didn't know how the palliative looks like.
A lot of people, recently we went out to do an interview. A lot of people that we interviewed, including their party member, which was APC, that are still topping now, says they have never seen anything palliative. Look at what the unfortunate incident that happened in Ondo State there, where a chairman of a local government was being beaten by an honorable minister because of palliative. What was the accusation? That the man said, the man accused him that the palliative that was given to them, how did you share it? A chairman of a local didn't have the right to ask the palliative that was given to the town by the state.
There's freedom of speech.
There's freedom of speech. You now gang up, you went ahead together with your children and some thugs to go and do that. So there is need for them to set up a committee that needs to look into the affairs of the state. The money that was being given to the governor, how are they utilizing the money?
Well, there is need to set up committee that is from Ambassador Riluas telling the government with the voice of the masses, that there's need for federal government to look into things they are providing for the masses, because some people are ganging up,
to jeopardize their efforts at the end of the day.
Not to bring down the effort of the federal government.
Say the federal government are not doing well. Exactly. Their own is to release the money. It is for the state government to disburse. If they are not disbursing, nobody will arrest them. Well, and if anybody talks now, before you get to know, they will sack the person because you are confronting the governor.
Well, the federal government are still under VAT, the added value tax on diesel, for 6 months beginning from October 2023, and the federal government accepted to vote 100 billion naira for providing high-capacity CNG buses for mass transit in Nigeria, among others. However, the memorandum only mentioned that the federal government should urge the state government through the National Economic Council and Governors Forum to implement wage awards for their workers, asking that similar consideration should also be given to local government and private sector workers. Well, all this being said by the federal government, how sure are you that the state government will do this to the private sectors and the local government workers?
That is what I've just said earlier. That is one thing to provide, is another thing to execute. The provision of what the federal government has just provided. Because when you look at it, I can see some propaganda in this APC government, in the sense that though the PDP are also doing it also, but it is much higher in the APC government administration. When an opportunity is being given out, they will want to look for their political loyalists that will be loyal to them, that they are going to fix into that post. And the issue of this palliative, when the palliative is being given out, I believe they are going to politicize this. Because if the federal government did not set up a committee that will be looking into the affairs of the state, the effort of the federal government will be jeopardized.
Yes, the effort of the local government will be jeopardized. I feel the spirit in Ambassador's body today is just high, because he has been telling me that he doesn't have anything to say about the federal government, because he thinks that Nigeria will still be a better place if we have good governance. Well, let us move on to the next one. Still on Mohbad's case, talking about the singer that passed on September 12th. And we've been getting different information from different sources, and now Naira Marley has been arrested by the Nigerian police. Music star Aziz Fashola, aka Naira Marley, has been taken into custody for interrogation and other investigation activities over the death of his former signee, Mohbad. This was confirmed by Lagos State Police Command PRO SP Benjamin Hundeyin via his ex-handle, formerly known as Twitter. He wrote it, Aziz Fashola, aka Naira Marley, has been taken into custody for interrogation and other investigation activities. Justice for Mohbad, which is the hashtag that was being used on the X account. Don't forget, earlier the Malia Music Boss announced via his verified X handle on Tuesday night that he had returned to Nigeria. He also wrote, I would like to share that I've just arrived back in Lagos, Nigeria, to assist the authorities with the ongoing investigation. It's important I do my part for Imole. I'll be meeting with the police with hopes for the truth to be uncovered and for justice to prevail.
You see, the issue of this Mohbad, can I chip in the bitter truth?
Okay.
If Mohbad, Naira Marley, is innocent of this issue, but based on the mobilization of the whole Nigerians, so let me say the whole world,
okay,
shouting justice for Mohbad, and if at the end of the day, police is not pointing an accusing finger on Naira Marley, the whole world will still come out and say Nigerian police system is corrupt.
Exactly, we know they are corrupted.
We know they are correct, but there are some findings that at the end of the day, if this thing is not pointing an accusing finger on Naira Marley, people will still come back and say police system in Nigeria is corrupt.
Now,
because the expectation was that The only person that they could point an accusing finger on that killed Mohbad or that led to the death of Mohbad is Naira Marley.
All right, even if there are 2 cases on ground now, investigation on maybe Naira Marley or Sam Larry had hands in the death of Mohbad, that is one. Then another thing is the assault that was being made on Mohbad when he was alive, the threat of life and ever, you know, trying to taking him, giving him drugs. You know, it was seen in so many viral videos that Naira Marley was in the act of drugging his artist.
This is what I've just said. That all those videos that you see released then, the Nigerian police didn't see this video then. What was their action? Even when the guy said he submitted a petition to the Nigerian police, they denied in the first instance that they didn't see any petition. At the end of the day, they came back to say they saw the petition, but they invited Mohbad, that Mohbad didn't show up. That is why I said, if at the end of the day, then it was inside the video. You know, all these musicians, they can go to any length whenever they want to make name.
Exactly.
If you could remember when Barrister was still alive, you know, Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barrister, together with Ayinla Kollington, then they will go to their producer, the executive producer. The executive producer will tell them, go and sing a song, go and release a music that is going to against so your opponent.
It will be like a controversial
music. That was what makes their music to be selling then. So the issue of his life is being under threat. I believe if truly his life is being under threat, and since he's under them, he wouldn't have had the opportunity of releasing a music to the whole world that his life is under threat. Did he really mention their name? He didn't mention their name. He didn't mention the kind of people that is threatening him. He didn't mention the kind of people that says he should go into drug or they should give him drug. But generally in the music, then there was no action from the other party that we people are pointing and accusing finger on, that who are those people that are threatening you. It was after his death now that those songs begin to count. But when he was alive,
people did not
even count it. They did not react to it.
Well, still on the Mohbad case, don't forget that the father of the deceased, talking about the father of Imole Mohbad, came out yesterday to say he needs a DNA test from Mohbad's wife on Mohbad's only son, Liam, that he wants to know if Mohbad is the real biological father of the small boy. You know, even Nigerians have been talking about this before the father came out yesterday. Nigerians have been saying they need to know maybe Mohbad really had a son before he left this sinful world. Well, I recall that Naira Marley had debunked allegations that he has a hand in the death of Mohbad, stressing that despite their fallout in 2022, no harm was wished on him. But we don't believe in that, though.
Okay. Let me come in by saying, you know, there is a proverb that I love most. I always say, a clear conscience fears no accusation. Do you recall? If the father said he wants to go into a DNA test, I don't see any reason why they should stop him of going into DNA
and I feel even Mohbad's wife should have done this DNA test because it is just too much.
You know what? You can't lose a son. At the end of the day, taking care of somebody, taking care of a child that doesn't belong to your son.
That's true.
At the end of the day, when the child is grown up, do you know many musicians in the Nigerian today that at the end of the day, when they blow, when they make names, and you see different mother coming out, different father coming out, that this son really belongs to me, what will happen to the effort of the person that has been taking care of that son? That is one. Then on the issue of this Mohbad case, death or music release that his life is under threat, I was not used to them. There is one of this popular song writer also that really has name then that died some years back that say if I die today that they should not pity him. That green. You remember that if he dies today they should not pity him.
Yeah.
Maybe he has known what is on the ground. Now when that green died, is there anybody that they point an accusing finger on that? Oh, this guy said it that if he dies today, they should not pity him.
The reason why that Green's own was not like that because of his death. He was drunk.
He was drunk. Is that the first time of him being drunk and drive?
It's a different case entirely.
I understand what you are saying.
Mohbad had been saying, even there was a video where he was saying, if I die today, hold Naira Marley responsible.
Sidonje, we are all Nigerians. We know that we expect the unexpected in Nigeria.
Yes.
Expect anything in Nigeria. If they tell you heaven is going to fall, Nigeria is involved. If they tell you heaven falls today, Nigeria is involved. You understand what I'm saying? Is that the first time for that green to drink and drive? What if the brake system of the vehicle has been tampered with? Have you forgotten a press release almost 2 weeks ago or a week ago about the aircraft of the Osun State governor that has been tampered with? Have you forgotten? Is there anybody that we are pointing and we are accusing finger on? What if the governor embarked on the journey at the end of the day, there was a crash and the governor dies? Who are they going to hold responsible for?
That's true. Well, let's move on to the next one. Talking about the writer of today. Pope suggests Catholic Church could bless same-sex marriages. Nigeria. Well, Pope Francis has suggested it will be open to having the Catholic Church bless same-sex unions. By Dapo Akinrefon, Luminous Janamak, with agency reports in Lagos. Pope Francis has suggested it will be open to having Catholic Church bless same-sex union in 2021. The Vatican decreed that the Catholic Church will not bless gay marriages because God cannot bless sin. But late Monday, the Vatican published a letter by Pope Francis addressed to a group of cardinals who asked him for clarity on the issue. Though the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PSN, chose to maintain a dignified silence on the issue, an official of the Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria, CSN, who chose to remain anonymous, the Pope's emphasis on pastoral charity suggests a willingness to address the pastoral needs of same-sex couples and extend understanding and support to them. Sir, what do you see on this?
Okay.
Because I don't really know where to come in.
Well, let me come in by this. Pope Francis is a human being. He's not God and he's not Jesus. He can say whatever he likes. You understand what I'm saying? Then number two, this is the sign of the end time. According, if you recall, we are not here to preach religion. The Bible says when you see all these kind of signs, then you know the end is near. Then when you look into what the Pope have just said, there's something we call doctrine. And the doctrine, we have different doctrine. We have in the Catholic Church, in the St. Paul Church, their doctrine is different from each other. Okay. The way they serve their God is different from each other.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying? And doctrine is really not from the Bible. You may go through the Bible and say, okay, for instance, now let me come in. There are many churches that lay emphasis on paying tithes. And there are some churches that doesn't lay emphasis, that doesn't care. If you bring in tithe, you either pay, you didn't pay, it's none of their business. So there are some churches that they can die because of tithe. If you didn't pay your tithe, it was like fire. You understand what I'm saying? So that one is doctrine. Doctrine set through human being to be placed upon the members of the church. So this is a doctrine set by the Pope. It is now left for the members of the church or those that are involved to accept or to say no. And when you look at these white people, their own culture, their own idea is different from we black.
Yes, their own idea is different, but my question is, they brought this religion and so far so good. It was what they laid.
It is another thing to bring. It is another thing to accept. When I may come to you and say, Sidonje, do you know stealing is part of life? And you think within yourself, you might have followed me to go and steal 1 or 2 times. Okay. The third time you now think within yourself that if stealing is part of life, I could recollect that there are some laws that is against stealing.
Yes.
Within yourself, you may think and recall yourself into order that I don't want to steal.
Well, talking about the same sex, I feel the Catholic Church, you know, if you can recall, what they are in the process of having believing that you don't need to get married. You know, you just need to be a saint as Jesus Christ and only Mary. You know, their doctrine is just different entirely. But for the Pope to come out and say we are going to bless same-sex marriage. I think this is another thing that some set of people in Nigeria have been waiting for so long, because
if some set of people in Nigeria has been waiting for it, does the Constitution of Nigeria back it up? We are working under the Constitution of Nigeria, while they are working under their own constitution. So Pope may say that, but if the Constitution of the United States of America is backing same-sex marriage, there's nothing anybody can do about it. But they can introduce it to Nigeria, and Nigeria says no.
But do you think Nigerians are going to say no?
You recollect some few weeks back, police arrested some set of people that are into same-sex marriage.
Yes, exactly.
That the boss said, because the Constitution of Nigeria does not give room for that.
Well, however, the pontiff reiterated that the church only recognized marriage as a union between a man and a woman that could open the door for blessings of individuals in same-sex unions. The Pope said pastoral charity requires patience and understanding, adding that priests should not become judges who only deny, reject, and exclude. He said the blessed request was a plea for God's help to live a better life, even in situations that were not morally acceptable. The religious leader said priests should not only treat people as sinners because they might not fully be at fault for their situations. Pope Francis suggested that the blessing gay unions should not become an official rule, but should be decided case by case, because the life of the church runs on channel beyond norms. He wrote, "The church has a very clear understanding of marriage, an exclusive, stable, and indissoluble union between a man and a woman naturally open to procreation. Only this union can be called marriage. Other forms of union realize it only in a partial and analogous way, so they cannot be strictly called marriage." Now look at it. So if this same sex, if it was being blessed by the Pope, he said it is not going to be named a real marriage, because it is case by case. It is choice.
Either name real marriage or name not real marriage is against the will of God, and is against the Bible that they preached. That's why I said doctrine is being made by the leader of a church. For instance, now there are some churches that doesn't put on whenever they are in their attire, they don't put on shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's doctrine of the person, the real founder of that church. There are some churches that they do wear trousers to their church, while there are some churches that preach against it. It is doctrinal. It is their doctrine.
But sir, talking about doctrine, it's somehow confusing, because it is one book, different doctrine, which means some set of people will just stand up and create.
Under the Constitution of Nigeria, one book and different meaning, isn't it? They will tell you section 4, subsection 6 of the of the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria says, okay, can you recollect that there is a constitution that says a policeman should not go out or in his duty with more than 50 naira in his pocket? Yes, we have it in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That has not been changed. Should not be more than 50 naira in his pocket. But today, are you telling me when the Constitution was made then, is it what they are buying then is what they are buying now?
Those are the reasons why we said that the federal government should try and rewrite the Constitution, or they should re-amend.
So when you say a policeman now bringing out 200 now, 1,000 naira from his pocket, you now say the Constitution of Nigeria does not allow this. So where the hell did you get the money?
Well, the Pope said for this reason the church avoids any type of rite or sacramental that might contradict this conviction, and suggests that something that is not marriage is recognized as marriage. However, in our relationship with people, we must not lose the pastoral charity which should permeate all our decisions and attitudes. The defense of objective truth is not the only expression of this charity. It is also includes kindness, patience, understanding, tenderness, and encouragement. Therefore, we cannot be judged. We cannot be the judge who only deny, reject, and exclude. Pastoral prudence must adequately discern whether there are forms of blessing requested by one or more persons that do not convey a mistaken concept of marriage. For when a blessing is requested, it is expressing a plea to God for help, a supplication to live better. Although there are situations that are not morally accepted from an objective point of view, the same pastoral charity requires us not to simply treat as sinners other people whose guilt or responsibility may be migrated by various factors affecting subjective accountability. Now, they are trying to justify this same-sex marriage. They are not really accepting it 100%, but they are trying to say in some cases, if some members of the church decided that this is what they want, that they should be able to bless it.
They should be able to bless. That's why I said doctrine is being set by human being, maybe based on what they saw. You know, where there was a place, we are not here to preach religion. But according to what we are discussing now, is pertaining to religion.
Exactly.
Now, there was a place in the Bible when Paul was teaching people about marriage. Then somebody now asked that if a matter of an husband and a wife is like this, that it's better not to marry. It was his own suggestion that with what you have taught us, if the case should be like that, it's better not to go into marriage than to go into marriage to encounter all those things. And Paul said, it is not an order from me for anybody that is willingly. You understand what I'm saying? For anybody that is willingly not to get married. And when you look at this church, this Catholic church, there we find father that doesn't go into marriage. That's their own decision.
Well, decisions that may be part of pastoral prudence in certain circumstances should not necessarily become a norm. Not everything that is part of practical discernment in particular circumstances can be elevated to the level of a rule. Canon law should not and cannot cover everything, as the life of the church flows through many channels other than normative ones. In 2020, Pope Francis called gay Catholics children of God and gave his endorsement to same-sex civil unions.
Well, Silonje, don't let us lay emphasis on this issue. You know, like I've rightly said, so it won't be as if we are doing repetition. Depends on the angle that we're looking at it. I believe that will never happen here in Nigeria.
Well, it will not happen in Nigeria because we don't have same-sex marriage. Things are getting worse, not to talk of having same-sex marriage. All right, this is where we are going to be ending it on News Review today. Don't forget that our sponsor is still Nokpa Abbas and King Victor Nigeria Enterprises. My name is Ahmed Abbas Olatunji, but you can call me Sidon J. And thank you so much, Ambassador Orilua, for joining us on this particular segment of News Review. We'll see you again tomorrow. Be good and be hardworking.